Howdy, folks. It's still Monday morning. Sorry about that short interruption, but hey, I'm at work and I do have to take phone calls, and that's what it was. It was a work phone call. So, on that last episode, I was apologizing for talking too long on the prior episode, and then I was explaining about Monday morning, and then I was explaining about the word rejoice. People go, rejoice? What does rejoice mean? And actually, I'm going to explain the word rejoice. People know it, rejoice, rejoice. But how do you become joyful? How do you? I mean, and what it is, because you don't wake up, I'm all full of joy today, or sometimes you get the bills and you go, oh gee, how could anybody be joyful? I'm going to tell you right now how to do it. Rejoice is like reloading a gun or refrying beans. It's like if your gun is empty, you have to reload it with bullets. And it's the same with your joy. If you don't feel joyful, you have to reload it with joyful thoughts. Refry those beans. You don't want cold beans, you want them hot. So you got to refry them. It's like rejoice. So I hope that gives you some food for thought because it's very simple to not be joyful in this world. And this is the feel good show. I want you to be joyful. I want you to be happy. Anyway, I think that's what is a good food for thought for you to think about. And see, but on the last episode, the one that got real long, I was talking about my three buddies of mine that all died when we were all 21. And I kind of I told you about Jim who killed himself, and well, I didn't actually give you their names. I just said one killed himself and one died in Arizona going on a bicycle ride coming down a mountain and going around a curve. He skidded and fell on the ground and the car ran him over. And I didn't really get to the third one. It was, and I didn't mention any names. And, and I remember these guys like they're all good friends. Like the first one, Jim, that was Jim Durst. And boy, he's a story. He was a wild and crazy guy. And I'll come back and tell you about. He used to he was squatting in the forest on government land, living in teepees for years. And I went to visit him a few times, and I'll tell you about those visits in a minute. And Lou Levitan, he was my high school buddy, and he lived next door to a guy that was a drug dealer. And so Lou could get whatever he wanted. So fortunately, it was mainly just smoke, like marijuana, but occasionally, it was other stuff. Not major stuff like heroin. I never did that. And none of my friends ever did that. I never known any junkies, to tell you the truth. Thank God. Now, I have known people that got into smoking crack, and a lot of them are dead by now. It's just terrible. And but fortunately, I don't think marijuana was all that bad. However, it was illegal, and but Lou could get it. And since I was his friend and all of our friends, Lou always provided what we needed. But anyway, Lou's gone now, and then my other buddy Andy, who I was going to be telling you about on this episode, and this is where the divine intervention I think came in. Was he was a good buddy from college, and he lived in New Jersey, and Andy Kaiser, and one Christmas vacation from college, we a bunch of us guys at the college wanted to go skiing, and one of my rich friends, his parents owned a ski cabin, which was a big house, big nice house in Vermont, up by Stowe, Vermont ski resort, real close to. You step out your door and you ski. That's how nice it was. And he said, "Hey, like folks aren't using this because that was another tragic story. His dad committed suicide, and because he used to have, he was very rich. He had big government contracts for the aerospace, and then I guess he lost the contract, and he couldn't stand going bankrupt. which is what happened. And so he killed himself. So my buddy said, hey, we can go up. We still own the house. We can go up there and you guys, we can use it, and it's still furnished. If you want anything, you can have anything you want in the house because the bankruptcy is going to take it all anyway. So we said, oh, okay. So a bunch of us guys, about 5 of us, decided we'd go. Now, the friend that was going to drive, he only had a VW bus. I mean, a VW Bug. So this good thing was a Super Beetle, but we put 3, me and 2 of them. So that was 3 of us in this little VW Bug. Drove from Utah all the way to Vermont. Well, we stopped at a few places. The other one of my friends that went with us, his parents lived in Ohio, and I have relatives in Nebraska. And so we were going to go, okay, we're going to go from, so we were cheap. We couldn't afford hotels or motels. It was too cold to sleep outside. So we said, okay, we'll drive from here to Nebraska to my relatives. And then we'd drive from Nebraska to Ohio, his relatives. And then we'd drive up to Connecticut, where the other guy lives, and then up to Vermont. And so we started this trip out, and my back then we all had pretty long hair, and you saw my pictures of the VW bus, and so my folks said, no, you cannot stop in that small town in Nebraska at our relative's house. You cannot go there unless you get a haircut. And I said, okay, we won't stop. We stopped. And when my aunt came to the door, first I think she was afraid to open the door, but we called her and said we were coming. But still, even though she knew we were coming, I think she's afraid to open the door. And she opened the door. She said, oh my. I said, Aunt Catherine. And anyway, they let us in, and we spent the night there. And next day we drove to Ohio and saw that the guy, and then we made it up to Vermont. Anyway, to make a long story short, Vermont was freezing. It's so cold in Vermont. I mean, Utah is so much better skiing because the sun is out, the snow is fluffy and white. In Vermont, it's below 0, and it just freezes the snow. It turns it into cement. And who likes skiing on asphalt? You fall, it really hurts. And it was just, it's steep skiing and dangerous skiing. And so anyways, I remember getting on the chairlift. It was a one-man chairlift. And I got on there and they threw this big wool blanket on me. I said, what's this for? And they go, you'll find out. Well, about halfway up there, the wind started blowing. The windshield factor was freezing. And I had that blanket around me. I was freezing cold. The chairs are swinging back and forth. Oh, man, I get to the top. I said, oh, man, I just want to take this one run and get back down to the ski lodge, and I'm calling it a day. And if I make it down. Fortunately, I made it down, and so I was going, man, it's just too cold for me to ski, and I'm from Southern California, man, and my friend said, man, but you bought an all-day pass. I said, I don't care. If I go back up there, I'll get killed, man. It's just too, I'll freeze to death or I'll get hurt, and I'm not going. So they said, well, all right, we're going to do a few more runs. I said, fine. So, of course, I'm hanging out in the ski lodge and, probably having a beer, and I like talking to girls. And so, I saw a few nice girls, and so I started talking to them and told them, hey, we're having a party tonight at this house. We're staying at this house just a few steps away from here. And we're going to have a big wild party with a lot of drinking and a lot of smoking. And they said, oh, man, we're in. Count us in. I said, great, great, great. So I'm lining up some girls to come to the party. And so anyways, my friends ended up finishing skiing. And then at the end of the day, the girl said, well, we have to drive home first and change, and then we'll come back. And I said, well, fine. I said, I'll go with you. And since you girls, actually, we'd been drinking. I was drinking with the girl. And they said, but we're kind of drunk to be driving all that way. So I said, well, no problem. I'll drive you. I was probably drunker than them. So they said, "Oh, okay, you can drive us there and you can drive us back, and we'll party. And if we don't spend the night, we'll drive home." And I said, "Good, good." And then my friends go, "Vince, you can't drive. You're drunk. You're from California. You don't know how to drive on snow. You would never make it there. You'll skid off the road. Remember your VW bus?" And I go, "Oh, come on, don't bring that up." The girls go, "What? He crashed his VW bus. He doesn't know how to drive on snow." And then my friend Andy said, "I'll drive him." And I go, "Man, Andy's stealing the girls that I'm picking up." I said, "Okay, Andy, you drive them, and when they come back, it'll, we'll have a lot of fun." And so, of course, they get to their house somewhere in Vermont, and which wasn't too far away, and they continued to drink and party. They actually had some peach brandy. They started drinking the brandy, and I guess the Christmas tree caught on fire, and then the house caught on fire. And so Andy was trying to find the girls to get him out safe, and they said that they somehow got out. He thought they were still in the house. And so he was down on the ground breathing. He said, "Girls, keep your face on the floor. Just breathe the floor, otherwise the smoke will kill you." And he was trying to, because the whole place was all full of smoke. And he got into the room. He couldn't find him or hear him, and he went over to the window, and they could see him through the window. So they broke the window from the outside, and all the smoke started gushing out. And they saw him fall to the floor, and he didn't burn to death. He died of the smoke. The smoke killed him, and girls lived, but that was pretty devastating. When we had to go pick up his stuff and take it to his parents and tell them, "Well, your son is dead, and here's his stuff." And oh man, that smelled like smoke. It was terrible. And that night I was waiting for him to come back, and so I going, man, I kept looking, they're not coming back. So I decided to take a bath, and so I filled it with nice hot water, because this is a big house with big bathtubs, and man, this is nice. So I was laying there in the bathtub, and I passed out. And when I woke up, the water was cold. So I'd been in there a long time, and I could have gone under, drowned from that. But the big divine intervention was, I think, I wasn't the one that took the girls home. Andy took them home and bit the bullet for me. So anyways, that's bringing you up to date on my three buddies when we were 21. And I know it doesn't leave you on a happy note, but here again, this is the Feel Good Show, and I feel good that I'm alive, and I feel good that I remember my buddies. And I'm, it reminds me of the song that makes me feel good, and I like this song. Maybe they'll sing it at my funeral when I die, but that's not for decades, right? But anyway, it goes, I won't sing it because I sing worse than I can read. And it goes, has anybody here seen my old friend Jim? Can you tell me where he's gone to? He freed so many people, but it seems the good die young. I just looked around, and he was gone. Has anybody here seen my old friend Lou? Can you tell me where he's gone to? He freed so many people, but it seems the good die young. I just looked around, and he was gone. Is anybody here see my old friend Andy? Can you tell me where he's gone to? He freed so many people, but it seems the good die young. I just looked around, and he was gone. See ya.